Hi, welcome to the 3D Pen Den. Recently, I posted a video on making embossed textures on the surfaces of your 3D pen projects, plus a few other baking videos. The links are in the description if you happen to miss those. In one of them, I promised to show you how to shape your embossed parts without losing your hard-earned 3D patterns. So let's see how that goes. As with any baked 3D pen piece, you have to work flat and shape later. Remember, you can only bake flat pieces. You will need to start as a human 3D printer and make yourself a shape just slightly bigger than the embossing plate you are planning to use. Since humans are not as precise as 3D printers, you are likely to have a few gaps in your printing that could give you trouble later on. So put on a second crisscross layer to close all potential gaps. Now we are almost ready to melt it. You can use parchment paper, silicone baking mat, or a Teflon baking sheet. More on pros and cons of each is in the last baking video, so I'm not going to repeat all that. The link is below. Teflon sheets are the best for preventing air bubbles, and they are also excellent for ironing your project. In fact, I usually iron my embossing blanks to make sure I close any potential holes that may be waiting to develop. Now we are ready to melt it. The temperature and time may vary quite a bit, so check out the baking video and then experiment with your particular equipment until it works for you. While the blank is melting, lightly oil the embossing plate. In this case, a rubber stamp, so it doesn't stick to the hot plastic. Monitor your baking closely. I don't have an oven light in my toaster oven, so I use flashlight to watch the surface. When it's all leveled and shiny, it is ready to go. Take it out with the baking tile. The hot tile will keep it soft for a bit longer and allow you some work time. Print immediately and remove the stamp immediately. If you let it cool down with the stamp in it, the plastic will shrink around the grooves of the stamp and may damage it. Then immediately remove from the heat. Here is where the liner comes in handy. You just grab it and pull it off. If you let it sit on the hot tile, your print will start to soften again and lose its crispness. Once the plastic is no longer soft, cover it with a cold tile to speed up the cooling process and prevent any warping. Here is our print. Trim it to the desired shape. 1 or 2 layers of plastic will still cut with scissors. For thicker than that, you may need a bandsaw. Embossed textures greatly benefit from highlighting them with some kind of patina. I like to use alcohol-soluble inks, but acrylic inks or thin acrylic paint will also work. Once it is dry, sand off the paint from the high areas, leaving it only in the grooves to highlight the texture. Now we are finally ready to make it 3D. In this case, with a metal cake decorating tip. Remember the hot water forming from the bracelet video? That is why it's important not to paint with water-soluble paint. The alcohol inks, when dry, won't dissolve in the hot water bath. Now, in theory, you could also do the forming with a heat gun or even a flame, but boiling water will never get hotter than 100 degrees Celsius, and PLA melts higher than that. So you don't run into the danger of melting your hard-earned pattern away. It will uniformly soften, but not actually melt. On the other hand, here I want it to melt to solder the seam together. Heat processing 3D pen prints is mostly about the right amount of heat applied to the right spot. Sand off any sharp points. Scratchy earrings are unpleasant to wear and catch on your hair. And then retouch the seam as needed. We are almost there. Gather your earring findings and assemble like you would any other earrings. All done. Stay tuned for more embossing projects, even though by now I bet you can think of a few of your own. So until next time, go and make something.